estamos transmitiendo y todo el mundo está muy calladito, quiero decirles que somos los únicos hispanos que vamos a entrevistar a este presidente. La verdad estoy un poco decepcionada porque pues ¿dónde están las televisoras grandes? Pero pues aquí estamos para traerles la mejor información.
Dr. Carson, particularly here in Colorado, a lot of people, a lot of employers, educators, parents are worried about the legalization of marijuana and what that bodes for our future. The next president of the United States could choose to enforce federal law and put a stop to this kind of thing here and elsewhere. What would you do in the White House?
Well, you're always going to be reasonable. That's number one. There are medicinal uses for the active ingredients of marijuana. However, we must also look at the fact that regular exposure to marijuana in the developing brain has been demonstrated definitively to result in decreased IQ. And the last thing we need is a bunch of people running around with decreased IQs. So I think we have to take both of those things into account. There are ways that you can create pills and ointments and things like that that are used for medicinal purposes while still enforcing our drug laws.
Very good. So you would probably enforce the federal drug laws in states such as Colorado?
And providing the appropriate use of medical marijuana.
Very good. Thank you.
Dr. Carson,
Yes.
do you believe that concealed carry should be federally legislated, or do you think that issue belongs to the states?
Well, I haven't really thought about that, to be honest with you. I mean, generally speaking, you would think that that would be a state issue, and that would be my preliminary thought, without doing a lot of research on that.
Today you were for support of the Second Amendment, but you're also one of the first GOP candidates to come out condemning the Charleston attack. What are your plans to make sure that guns stay out of the hands of people with all bad motives?
Well, the Charleston attack has nothing to do with guns being accessible. It has to do with people having evil in their heart. And that would be my plan for keeping it from happening, spending a lot more time helping people to grow up the right way and not to grow up in this hateful environment. Because believe me, when people grow up like that, they will find ways to create havoc. And restricting guns is not the way to do it, particularly when you know history. When you look at tyranny across the world historically, what people do is they restrict guns, they get rid of the guns and the people, and it was Daniel Webster who said that tyranny would never reign in America because the people are armed. And let's make sure that stays the case.
Dr. Carson.
Dr. Carson, can you please give me a quick overview? How would you solve the immigration issues in America?
I'll try to do it quick. First of all, I talked out there somewhere about sealing the borders, all of the borders, using technology to do it. That's very important, not only for people coming from Mexico and Honduras, but for people, radical jihadists. We got to keep them out. And then turning off the goodies, the jobs, the benefits, all of those things. If they don't get those things, there's not going to be anything to draw them in here. That'll stop that. The 11 million people who are left behind, many of them don't know any other place. They've never been any other place. So we can't just send them away. What I would do is give them an opportunity to become guest workers. They have to register, and they have to get signed up for back taxes, and they have to pay their taxes going forward. But at least they don't have to live in the shadows. It does not give them voting rights. It does not give them citizenship. If they want those things, they have to get in the back of the line and go through the process like everybody else, because we must pay homage to the people who've done it the right way. We can't just kick them to the curb. Rectify.
Time for 2 more questions. Dr. Carson, you talked a bit about your alternative health care plan. Could you delineate exactly what would be the role of the government versus the role of the private insurance market in getting people into these health savings-like accounts?
Well, the government can help set up the accounts and keep track of it, just like we do with Social Security. They wouldn't have a much bigger role than that, quite frankly. What I'm trying to do is actually move third parties out of the relationship, because what do you need for good health care? You need a health care provider and you need a patient. Along comes the middleman to facilitate the relationship, it now has become the primary entity dictating to the patient and to the healthcare provider, and it doesn't even need to be there.
One more question?
Well, what about transparency in healthcare costs? Because half the time you go into a medical office, you ask them, what's this procedure going to cost? They can't give you a straight answer. So
Very good
is that a
question.
necessary component of what you're talking about?
And he's not planned for asking that. Okay. Okay. Well, you see, when people control their own health savings account and you don't have a third party in there, there's no longer a reason for all the shenanigans that we play with insurance companies, where this thing costs $500, but we're jacking the price up to $8,000 so that they can pay us $500. None of that has to happen anymore. It's between the healthcare provider and the patient. So transparency will automatically come in. The free market economy will reign supreme, and that's what controls pricing. That's what controls quality.